No more silence, we'll raise our voice. For every hero, we'll make the choice.
Hey everybody, this is Todd Belknap, Executive Director of Veterans Help and Veterans USA. We're in our podcast studio here at Veterans United Podcast with the man behind the camera, Brian Lang, who's bringing all the magic. A retired Navy veteran. He's our podcast manager. We thank him for allowing all this to happen and making it whir here. Before we move on to our guests, I want to share something with you in case you've missed all of our other podcasts. We talk about it. Mission 1776, as most of you know, but for those of you who don't know, we are a 501c3. We are not affiliated with the county. We are not affiliated with the VA. We're a standalone, donation-driven, nonprofit organization. So we're looking for your help because we are here to help the at-risk and homeless veterans that are walking around here in our midst in Marion County. So we're looking for donations. And what we have is Mission 1776. It's a monthly giving campaign that asks you to donate $17.76 a month to our pay portal here that helps the growing number of homeless and at-risk veterans right here in Marion County. Your money doesn't go anyplace else. It stays right here. Every dime, every penny goes to help the homeless and at-risk veterans who are walking amongst us. There was a time when those folks, those men and women, wrote a blank check to the United States of America selflessly. Didn't make it about them, made it about everybody else. And they said, send me wherever you want to send me. And America did. Now they need our help. So we're asking you to help them. $17.76 a month equals $213 a year or 59 cents a day. You can go to mission1776.org/donate-today, or just go to mission1776.org. You'll see a Donate Today tab. Just click on that. It's just like buying anything from Amazon. You fill it in. You get to decide when the donations start. You get to decide when they stop and how much that amount is. Whether it's $17.76 or some other amount, that's up to you. You get a donation letter because, Brian, guess what? It's all tax deductible. Right. So it's tax deductible, stays right here in Marion County. That's a win-win for everybody involved. So please share that information with your friends, family, and coworkers because we are looking for local dollars to help local veterans. We thank you in advance for any support you're able to offer with that regard. So moving right along, now we got our housekeeping out of the way. We're here today to help promote CASA Marion. They are a staple here in our community in Marion County, and they're a mover and shaker, and we are fortunate to have their development coordinator. Did I say that right? Right. Shelby Kearns is with us today, and Shelby is going to, thanks for coming with us today, Shelby.
Thanks for having me.
And she's going to tell us, she's going to educate us on what CASA Marion does. But first, I want to hear what got you interested in CASA Marion, personally, you. How'd that come about?
Yeah, it was an unusual journey.
Yeah.
So when I was an undergraduate student, I studied business.
Yeah.
And then I decided I wanted a degree in the humanities, so I got a master's in the humanities.
That's
with
a sharp left
English
turn.
Literature.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
although the two might not be as separate as they seem at first glance. But when I finished that program, my husband and I first got married. I was teaching beginning composition classes at a community college.
Oh.
And then we moved with the military. So he was in the Army.
Okay.
He was in the infantry guard when he was an undergraduate student, and when he graduated and commissioned, he was field artillery. And so his training was in Oklahoma. We were in Oklahoma for about 5 months, and then COVID happened.
Is it Fort Sill, maybe?
At Fort Sill,
Fort
yes.
Sill, yeah.
Yeah, so he was doing his basic officers leadership course. I always forget Bullock and all of the other acronyms, but he finished that.
She's doing good, though.
There's a lot of acronyms.
Yeah.
I always have to, well, this is a friendly audience, and they
Yes,
probably
it
know
is.
what I'm talking about.
They certainly do. Yep.
It's hard when you forget you're talking to someone who
They're like,
doesn't
"What?"
have the military backdrop, and you're just dropping acronyms on them.
Well, he and Shelby, full disclosure, Brian, if you do drop an acronym and you keep moving, he will fill in the blanks on the screen. So he'll lay out what that acronym means. He's pretty good at cleaning it up. So thank you to Brian on that.
Yeah. Big thank you to Google as
Yeah.
well.
So you're in Fort Sill. COVID happens.
Yeah, COVID happens. We moved to Alaska at
Whoa.
the height of COVID, so I get there. I'm looking for work, in my mind, I'm going to keep teaching English classes, but then I see a job opening at this organization called the Interior Alaska Center for Nonviolent Living.
Okay.
I find out that is violence prevention services. So they have an emergency shelter. They're serving families who are dealing with domestic violence.
Yeah.
They also have the rape crisis response team. So no matter what time of day, when there's someone who needs to call that hotline, they're ready with an advocate, a member of law enforcement, and then a forensic nurse. They're doing suicide prevention services. They're also doing a lot of youth prevention and education.
Wow.
So I start working for them, and I don't really know what to expect because that's not my background.
Right.
I fell in love with it, and a few years goes by. He officially exits from the Army in October of 2024. We end up here in Ocala, where he was born. And I knew that I was interested in similar work, and I found it at CASA.
So going from Alaska to Ocala, there's a little difference in the mercury there, huh? A little acclimatization.
Yeah. Oklahoma, Alaska.
They do. There's some overlap,
Yeah.
but then key differences that I wouldn't have expected, but I've seen after living here now for close to 2 years. So
where are you from originally?
George West, Texas.
Okay.
Between San Antonio and Corpus.
Okay. Was CASA Marion advertising, or what led you all the way up in Alaska? How did you end up here?
So we didn't go straight from Alaska to Florida.
Okay.
We left in early 2022.
Yeah.
Went back to Fort Sill and were there for about 2 years.
All right.
Before we came back here. But here, I think I found the posting on Indeed. But I had also heard a lot of people talking about it because around the time that I applied for the position in the fall, a lot of things were happening with CASA.
Right.
So CASA had launched in January of 2024.
Mm-hmm.
Officially, we went some months in Marion County where we didn't have domestic violence services because the center that had been here, I think, since the 70s, really the first center that we had in Marion County had shut down pretty suddenly.
Right.
And so they went a few months without services, and then CASA expanded to Marion County so they could deliver those.
I was at the county commission meeting when they launched. That was big doings. That was pretty exciting. So tell everybody tell everybody about CASA. For those who don't know, what does CASA Marion provide?
Yeah, and so with that timeline, when they first opened, they were operating just out of hotels, and I think they had some help with community partners to get people those stays and also make sure they were fed while we were serving them. And I want to say we were using SMA to operate our hotline.
Okay.
But in the fall, not too long before I officially joined the team is when they were able to move into all their facilities. So we have a non-residential outreach program, and that's run out of our outreach office that's at the Beacon Point Plaza. It's run by the hospital district. And then we have our shelter, which is somewhat close by.
Right.
That was opened in August of 2024 is when they moved into that facility, and then I started working for CASA in November. So CASA has those two locations depending on what a person needs. So when someone calls the hotline or when they visit our outreach office during business hours, they would get essentially screened for lethality.
Right.
Just because of the capacity at the shelter, they're making sure that first and foremost they're serving the people who are most in danger.
Yeah.
And so there's a screening tool that would be used by all of our advocates or case managers who work for CASA.
Okay.
They would, interview the person and ask them what's going on.
Right.
They would listen to them. They would go through that tool and they would see, are there indicators on here that person's in a lot of danger?
Right.
So those indicators could include, sometimes very explicit threats that the abuser is going to kill them. Strangulation is also another example of something that's a high indicator that person's in danger. And so the most lethal cases will be brought into the shelter.
Right.
And then our outreach services are for someone who doesn't need the shelter stay, but they get the exact same services. They would do it at our outreach office. Or a shelter stay is about 6 weeks. A person can get an extension if they need to.
So when you say shelter, you're talking at your facility?
At our facility, yes. Our 24/7 emergency shelter that's residential.
That's a good chunk of time. That's good. Six weeks, you said?
It is, and most people can meet their case management goals in that period. But
things
It's
Yeah.
it is, and so sometimes we need to grant extensions because
Okay.
a person, they're starting their life over, and they're
Yeah.
often there's certain things they're experiencing for the first time. So, for example, a lot of people have been kept out of the workforce, or if
Right.
not kept out entirely, they've taken a long absence for the workforce. So
Yeah.
they're
There's a lot of
putting
change.
together their resume, they're getting
Yeah.
ready for their interview, they're getting job placement, not just any job, but a place that will help them pay their rent now that they're on their own.
I would
So
imagine
that
there's
takes time.
a lot of anxiety too when you're going through that. Okay, maybe I've been out of the workforce for a long time, and now I'm back into it again. There's anxiety there,
Yeah.
and then if there's children involved, okay, now I've got to get daycare, childcare for the.
Oh, yes.
Boy, oh boy.
And then they're in that catch-22 where they need to have a proof of income to get the child care.
Yes.
But they need child care in order to
Yeah.
search for a job, which can be its own
Yeah.
full-time job.
Right. Yeah.
That's the red tape.
And not just the job search, but you think when someone's completely starting over, what else are they having to do? They're trying to find affordable housing through our housing program. They
Yeah.
have court hearings,
Yep.
and that the legal process can be long and drawn out, not just to get their injunction for protection or their
Right.
restraining order, but they probably also have some family law issues they're dealing with,
Yes.
such as divorce in a custody case. And we know that perpetrators are much more likely to
And that
seek
in and of
full
it-
custody.
Yeah, and that in and of itself will fill your plate up on top of, oh, now I have to look, new employment, child care, all those things that are brand new, like you said. That's a lot of.
So they're exhausted, but then they're
Yeah.
also in a state of shock. Some people are leaving in the middle of the night,
Right.
without many of their belongings. A lot of them are having to go track down their government issued documents because they weren't thinking to pack it when they escaped.
No.
Right.
Yeah, why would you? Yeah, that's a surprise. Where is it? And then trying to get back into the home and safely. Yeah.
And so that's part of what we do too. Is we say first things first. We help them get their IDs, but then
Right.
okay, so this person's maybe they've shown up in their pajamas. So
Right.
what is everything a person would need to build a home? That's what we're trying to give them. And
Amen.
we don't quite do everything in-house. We would like to. We try to get donations in that regard,
Right.
but we work with our community partners and we do a lot of referrals, including Vets Helping Vets,
Yep.
which has helped us with
Yeah.
food and toiletries,
Yep.
even birthday party supplies, pet food and pet items.
Especially with the kids, you want the show to go on for the children. They're hostages in a situation, as is the one being abused, but especially the children. So if there's birthday parties and things, you don't want them to go without because there's something going on amongst the adults.
You only got one child.
Yeah.
Their parents are so wrapped up in their case management, we
Yeah.
need to look after their needs too.
Right.
Because with a
Absolutely.
lot of parents' mindsets, they're not going to leave if they don't think their kids are going to be okay. So we
Right.
do
Right.
once a week a family movie night at the shelter. So we have
That's
a playroom,
awesome.
we play something
Yeah.
family friendly, we
Yeah.
have popcorn and other snacks, and then we've also started doing a weekly craft night. And we
Nice.
found that the adults like it just as much as the kids do.
Yeah.
But that's, we want to dream big because we have a child welfare advocate right now. So that's a staff member who is responsible for working with those families and being a liaison between the Department of Children and Families, or
Right.
DCF, and CASA.
Right.
So when they've been referred by DCF, this is the person to welcome them and get them connected to services. But we'd really like a full-time child advocate at our shelter.
Yeah. That
Someone
would be
who
nice.
can constantly search for the children's needs while not having to juggle both what mom or dad need for this
Right.
child. Even though
Right.
I think right now, given the staffing, they do that very well.
Yeah. Yeah, so having a child advocate. So anybody listening out there, and if, that would really be nice if you got funding for that too, right? So you not only have the position, but you have that position funded, which in this day and age that's a tough nut to crack because everything costs more nowadays and services are skewed. So again, that's one of the reasons why we have CASA Marion here today is we're hoping to expand the horizons of the community so that more people become familiar and aware of CASA Marion and what they provide in the community. So what's your staff like number-wise? Do you have
So at the shelter, it does have to be monitored 24/7 because
Yeah.
it's residential. So we have a day, evening, and night shift.
Mm.
At each shift, we try to have 2 advocates plus a manager there.
Okay.
So 3 per shift, and then we have a programs director who oversees everything,
Nice.
both at shelter and at outreach. At outreach, I want to say we have 6 advocates,
Okay.
and they're splitting their time. So we have our child welfare advocate who also spends some time in the DCF office.
Right.
We have people who are stationed at outreach waiting for people to walk in for their services and then
Okay.
meet with them one-on-one in a room. Our clients, our families are meeting with the same case manager
Mhm.
throughout their services, really to build that trust and to have someone
Right.
who's cheering them on,
Yes.
who's on their side, who's celebrating their
Encouraging.
successes.
Yeah.
And then we have a room at the courthouse that we have someone over there for a certain number of hours each week. And so not only do they have the room at the courthouse, but they also try to have somebody at all of the injunction hearings because we're still a pretty new organization.
Right.
And so someone who's seeking our services or maybe hasn't heard of our services has an
Right.
injunction hearing, and the judge can say an advocate from CASA is here to get connected with, and you can
Right.
learn a little bit more about what
So that
they
way
do.
nobody gets lost or fall through the cracks. If they're up there at the courthouse, you have somebody there that stops that from happening that may not be aware.
Right, it's part of the outreach efforts
Yeah.
because we do have a lot of people who said, I had no idea you
Yeah.
were here, or they think,
Sound familiar?
Yeah.
Same thing for us.
and so the courthouse is part of that because you think, well, where can you find someone who's
Right.
seeking services? And it's going to be someone who's filing a restraining order.
Right.
But we also try to do, of course, podcasts. We do health fairs, other community tabling events. We try to get in front of churches and Rotary clubs
Anywhere
and
you can
Kiwanis
go.
and the Lions
Yeah.
clubs just to let people know what we do because they might know we're here,
Yeah.
but they might think, for example, oh, this is the women's shelter.
Right.
They might not know, for example, that we serve men or that
Right.
we also take children at the
Right.
shelter, or even siblings. We had a mother of 9. Her sister also came and stayed at the shelter with her because where's the sister going to go after she escaped? She's a
Right.
secondary victim of that
Right.
abuse. And so there's just a lot about CASA people don't know.
Yeah. And again, that's a game changer. You say mother of 9. Wow. That's got to be daunting for the mom to how long it took her to leave. And then if I leave, where am I going to go? Right?
Right.
And
With all 9.
thank goodness you're here to receive 9 children.
And that's a misconception too. So I mean, people have not only asked us, "Do you take children?" but sometimes people think, "Oh, I have too many children to be served."
Right.
But here,
You
there's
can't-
no
you
such
can't
thing
help
as
me.
that.
Yeah, you can't help me. Yes, yeah. As a matter of fact, we can. Another reason to get out there, like you say, you're going to Kiwanis and Rotary and any place else to raise awareness. It's important to raise funding as well, right?
Right.
So, CASA Marion, good organization. I say this as a nonprofit ourselves. We're always chasing the money, but we fully, completely, and wholeheartedly endorse the efforts of CASA Marion. So if you're looking for an organization to get behind, CASA Marion is definitely one to do that with. So how do they get a hold of you? How do they get a hold of CASA Marion?
I'll share my contact information. So our hotline number, our 352-722-2272, that's our 24/7 emergency number.
Okay.
And so when someone calls, they're going to find a way to get that person to us. Sometimes law enforcement brings them. Sometimes a person might come themselves or get dropped off by a family or a family member or friend, or we have a Lyft account too where we can get people safe rides.
Wow.
So that's our hotline. I'll share my contact information as well. And so that would be any questions related to community education and awareness. If you are a group that wants a presentation about our services,
Yeah.
I can come do that. I can do things that are as short or long as the group needs. I
Yeah.
can do a quick spiel, kind of like
Yeah.
I'm doing here, but I
Yeah.
can also do something more in depth.
Right.
I've worked with the health department and school professionals where I teach them things like the effects of abuse on our physical and mental health,
Right.
how to work with children who have experienced that trauma, or even bystander intervention, or basically when you see those red flags, what do you do about them as a
Right.
well-meaning person who
Yes.
doesn't want things to escalate? Because leaving is such a dangerous time. The way it's gone has to be done very carefully, and so
Right.
an in-depth training can help with that. So I help with training, any kind of supply drive or donation question. a lot of people are getting rid of things and they want it to go to someone who can actually use it. So they have questions about our resident needs, volunteer needs come to me as well, and of course any fundraising question, because we are contractors with the Department of Children and Families, and we get some federal grants too from the Victims of Crime Act, but we still have to fundraise quite a bit of our budget because of how intensive the needs are. You know, last year in our shelter alone we had 300 adults and children, so you think 300 people who are staying there at least 6 weeks, 3 meals a day plus snacks, clothes, toiletries, and then advocating for anything else they need to be truly independent, so they don't feel that pressure just to return when they leave the shelter. So and that doesn't include the people who come through our outreach office. You know, we had probably another 800 or so people who walk through the outreach office, and we try to send them home with some resources as well. So
because leaving can be scary, because it's you're in a cocoon, so to speak, as you're safe, right? At CASA Marion, okay, time to go. As ready as you may be, it's still, I would imagine there's some apprehension there, because you're leaving the nest, and you're starting new.
And everything's happened so quickly. So you've left, and when you're staying at the shelter, it takes a little bit of time to realize, okay, I'm safe and I can breathe, and then the 6 weeks are up and it's time to go. But you know, no one's going to be turned out without a place to stay. So that could be our housing program, that could be another community partner like Project Hope, which has an apartment that's dedicated to
great
victims
organization
and their families.
What's going on for Mother's Day?
So this is the second year in a row that we've worked with the moving company 2 Men in a Truck. They have a wonderful campaign, and they do a vet one in the fall, don't they?
They do,
Yeah, so this one is Movers for Moms. There are around 20 collection sites around Marion County. And so they have boxes with a list of things that we're trying to get at shelter, mostly food, toiletries, baby items, diapers of all sizes, and wipes. They're doing that collection, and then they'll pack everything the Friday before Mother's Day in a moving truck and come bring it to our shelter. So they'll be blessing our parents around Mother's Day, and then we're going to have a celebration the Thursday before Mother's Day at Midtown Station. So
and we're going to help promote that, because we have the flyer here on site, so we're going to help push that out on our social media and emails and whatnot to help CASA Marion gather. These are things that, if we're not in that mix, sometimes we don't think about things that are needed, like you say, baby items or wipes or formula and things like that. Those are things that are not on our checklist.
Especially if you're rushing to get out of the house.
And if you're a donor that's out there, a prospective donor, it's good to know. And so CASA Marion's going to provide that list, and we get that together by, you said, the Friday before Mother's Day, which everybody knows is the second Sunday in May, right? Did I get that right? It's
Sunday, May 10th?
Yeah.
I have the date right.
Yeah.
And then, Thursday the 7th is when we'll be getting together at Midtown. And, you know, Midtown, I think they're about as old as CASA, so they're somewhat of a well-kept secret, but it's a really cool place if people haven't made it out there.
Yeah. And that's what this podcast series that we're pushing out, we're trying to get everybody in the community under one umbrella here to advertise and raise awareness of them, so that if you need the resources, you know where they are and you know what they're about. So it limits, the questions. Hey, this is the place to go. CASA Marion's where I got to go. Or like you say, Project Hope or Interfaith or wherever it is. Try to be the traffic cop here. Yeah, you need this, go to there, right? And that's cuts out a lot of the waiting time or anxiety, indecision, or all that stuff that comes along with it. So what didn't we cover that we need to cover for CASA? I know you have a whole boatload of stuff. What else do we need to talk about today?
Oh, goodness. I'm trying to think if there's a service that we haven't covered, just because we are comprehensive. So we're doing daycare referrals, we have our housing program and our legal services. We have Peacemakers, which is a youth violence prevention curriculum.
That's awesome.
Peacemakers? Because we think, starting young, changing norms, including, unfortunately, some of those things that the students we're presenting to are seeing at home.
Yeah, children are sponges. They do what they see.
So this is kind of like breaking the cycle. They see it, they mimic it, but if you teach them, hey, look, there's another way, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of these precepts are things that, if you didn't grow up witnessing that, will be common sense, but they could be understanding this for the first time, because whether you're a teen and you're experiencing teen dating violence, or even a lot of adults who come and work with us for the first time, they don't understand all those parts of what's called the power and control wheel, where it's not just the physical abuse, but there's an economic component, there's a spiritual component, there's verbal abuse, intimidation, and they don't understand that that's not what love is. And so that's what we're trying to teach to our young people. And so we've done those presentations at Hands of Mercy everywhere in Bellevue. We've done it for Department of Juvenile Justice, students that are getting their service and their education hours in. We've done it at Arnett House, our youth shelter. And so we're looking for other sites.
Great work.
Yeah, another great organization.
Yeah, these are all places where, you get behind the scenes and you see these are adults who really care about those kids, and that's always heartening. And so in October, for Domestic Violence Awareness Month, we're also doing a mini program with middle school girls who are in the Girl Scouts. So we're always looking for new sites for peacemakers. And then donation-wise, so there are some of those much-needed items that we're collecting with 2 Men and Truck for movers and moms. Those are the things that we use most frequently. Those are things that almost every single family we serve needs. But we also ask people to help us raise unrestricted funding for those unanticipated needs.
Yeah,
because
discretionary income. That's what we call it here. That's the wow, we weren't planning on that happening fund.
Yeah, and that's every day when you're 24/7 residential. If you have 60 people in the shelter, something's going to happen where you need to act quickly. And maybe
no pun intended, but you can bank on it. Yeah, it says something's going to happen.
And we have great relationships with our community partners and our thrift stores, but sometimes a person can't wait 2 weeks to get something.
Right. Yep, absolutely. And that's what we do here. We collect a lot of clothing here. And so what we do is we share those with our fellow nonprofits and those in the community who can use them. Hygiene kits, whole 9 yards, and we want to partner with CASA and help provide them with things that they run short on, or ahead of time so they don't run short on it. So anything that we can do for CASA, count us in. We're here to help, right?
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah. So we have a lot of families that come in here. We don't have some of the things that we provide here are services maybe the same as you, but a lot of them are not. So we're looking forward to partnering with you to help plug the holes and bridge the gaps. And
there's a bit of an overlap right there too.
Yeah.
You have some clientele that can use your services. Yeah.
So we're looking forward to a good partnership with you guys and help and take the hurt away.
I think that's so too. It's one of my favorite things about Marion County, and I've lived here for close to 2 years now, and it's every month goes by, I admire the people here more and more, and that's why it's the place we're going to stick around, because just working in nonprofit, I can see what a strong relationship we have. No one hoards anything. We and we don't see each other as separate entities.
Well, just like we mentioned a little bit ago about glitches and whoopsies, well, we had one here in the studio. But our guy behind the curtain there, Brian Lang, he made all things new. He waved took his magic wand out of his bag of tricks there and fixed it. So hallelujah to Brian. Thank you for doing that. But so we're going to wrap it up here with Shelby. We want to thank you for coming and helping educate and raising awareness about CASA Marion, because it's something that's unfortunately needed in our society here. And we're very fortunate that they're here, because like you said, there was nothing that was really in existence for a while, right, before CASA Marion, or it wasn't being utilized. Is that right?
Yeah, we went a few months without services. I want to say about August to January until we opened.
So thankfully, we have a safety net here in Marion County now, and that safety net is called CASA Marion. So thank you to Shelby. Stay with us. Don't go anywhere, because at the end of this podcast, CASA Marion's contact information, website, phone numbers, email, whole 9 yards is going to be on the back end there, thanks to Brian Lang. He's going to put all that stuff on there. So any questions outside of the contact information for CASA Marion, you can also give us a call here at 352-433-2320. And we'd be more than happy to tell you what CASA Marion's all about and give you their contact information from our vantage point here at Veterans Helping Veterans USA. So again, we thank you, Shelby Kearns, for joining us today and letting people know about. And Brian, thank you for saving the day there on the whoopsies. And yeah, so thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you at the next one here at Veterans United.
In the shadows of the night, they fought the fight. Brave hearts, lost souls, searching for the light. With every battle scar, they carry the weight. But we're here to lift them up. It's never too late. No more silence. We'll raise our voice for every hero. We'll make the choice. Together we'll stand, united and proud. For the ones who served, veterans helping veterans is loud. Stand strong together, we'll pave the way. For the veterans in need, we won't turn away. With open hearts and open hands, we'll light the path, take a stand. We'll rise like the dawn, shining ever bright. For every soldier lost, we'll be their guiding light. Through the storm and the tears, they walked alone. But we're building a home where they can be known. From the ashes they rise, with courage anew. With a brotherhood strong, we'll see them through. No more silence, we'll raise our voice. For every hero, we'll make the choice. Together we'll stand, united and proud. For the ones who serve, veterans helping veterans is loud. When the night feels long and hope is thin, we'll be their family. We'll let the healing begin. No more fighting alone.